I think when I was taking my psych major, I really liked philosophy. In fact, the philosophy minor is really what drove me towards law school. But I was taking so many electives that just sounded interesting to me that my advisor at one point was like, you're basically one class away from getting a double minor in both of these. I'm like, oh, well, let's just sign up for that. So it ended up it wasn't really planned. There was no grand idea or vision behind that. It just kind of ended up working out. I signed up for a bunch of the classes that sounded cool, and it worked out.
When you're driven, the need to accomplish a goal is relentless. Hard work and ambition compel you to do whatever's necessary. In my work as a personal injury trial lawyer for 18 years, it's common to meet driven people. Those with drive can have different personalities, careers, or backgrounds, but they possess one common factor. Despite their passions, driven people want to surround and motivate themselves with other driven people. If you want to learn how to overcome obstacles by learning from others, then tune in here. This is the Driven Crowd Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into episode 84 of the Driven Crowd Podcast, fueled by Snellings Law. I'm your host, Scott Snellings. Today, I am joined by Ryne Sandel, a top-ranked Texas trial lawyer and negotiator. A graduate of Texas A&M University School of Law, he's known for his fearless advocacy in the courtroom and his ability to secure strong results at the negotiation table. Beyond his work with clients, Ryne has served on the State Bar of Texas Unlicensed Practice of Law Committee and co-chairs the Collin County Bar Association's Criminal Law Section, where he continues to protect his community and advance the practice of law. Ryne, welcome to the Driven Crowd Podcast.
Thanks, Scott. Happy to be here.
Yeah. All right. So give us a little bit of background. Where did you grow up and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. So I'm a native Texan, born and raised in Bryan College Station, hence the Texas A&M connection there. Was in Bryan till I was in 5th grade. After 5th grade, we moved around a little bit. We moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, lived there for a few years. And from North Carolina, we moved up to Maryland, right outside of the Washington, D.C. border. That's where I went to high school. So 8th grade all through high school, I was up in D.C., then moved back to Texas to do my undergrad at A&M. So I've kind of been a little bit all over, but mostly on the East Coast and Texas for most of my life.
So tell me this, we've had several guests on here, a lot of military kids that moved around quite a bit. How did that affect you moving 3 separate times as you kind of made your way through the high school?
For me, it was, I see it as a positive now. I mean, sure, in the moment, you have that kind of transition where you're moving away from all your friends, you're moving away from what you know, but in hindsight, I do like that I did that because it gave me some perspective on a lot of things. It gave me perspective on how different people exist in different parts of the country. And I think importantly, it made me miss home. Like I've always felt Texas was my home. I've always wanted to come back here. And being away from it, living in other places really drove that home. Whereas if I had lived here my whole life, I think I might always be wondering, hey, what is it like to live somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, I don't really wonder. I know what that's like. It was fine. It's fun. I love going to different places to visit, but Texas is always home. So I think it was a big positive. I enjoyed it. I still have some great relationships with folks I met up there in the different places. I still like going back and visiting, but it wasn't a super negative for me.
All right. So you go to A&M. What'd you major in?
Psychology.
Same for me.
Psych with minors in sociology and philosophy.
Oh, look at you getting all existential in college.
It was one of those things where I think when I was taking my psych major, I really liked philosophy. In fact, the philosophy minor is really what drove me towards law school. But I was taking so many electives that just sounded interesting to me that my advisor at one point was like, you're basically one class away from getting a double minor in both of these. I'm like, oh, well, then let's just sign up for that. So it ended up it wasn't really planned. There was no grand idea or vision behind that. It just kind of ended up working out. I signed up for a bunch of the classes that sounded cool, and it worked out.
So you're the accidental philosopher.
Basically, yeah. That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, we have obviously we've had high school interns and lots of people just that we speak with that are interested in going to law school. Mm-hmm. And they always ask, hey, what should I major in? Because, for those of you who may not know, there's not really a pre-law major. You can go to law school having majored in anything. I think I went to law school with people who were physics majors, music majors, art majors, English majors, all the things. I was a psychology major as well. And I always tell them, pick a major where you have to write.
Yep. That's a good one.
You have to write.
That's a good one.
What advice would you give?
I always tell them pick a major that you have a legitimate interest in, because I think, and it's not shocking at all, right, that my best grades came from the classes that I really enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Right? And so when you're applying to law school, your GPA obviously matters a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
Way more than whatever you majored in. And so if you're carrying a bunch of A's and B's from classes that you really loved, rather than suffering through organic chemistry and getting a C in it, then that's a no-brainer. So I always say focus on a major that you know I'm going to enjoy doing this. That, and as you know, law school is a lot of work, and it's kind of a beat down at times. And so if you go into it already burnt out from whatever you decided to major in, that's just a recipe for disaster. And so, just pick something that you like and then just go from there. Because I was the same way. I think I had a German major in my law school class, history majors, you name it.
Yeah. It's funny because I was a summer starter at Baylor. I had a year between basically when I graduated undergrad before I started the following summer at Baylor Law. And so I had a year to decompress and work and just kind of have fun, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And then I started with some people who had just graduated from Baylor because I was a summer starter. And so they had started law school before they actually walked the stage for their undergrad graduation. And I'm looking at them going, I would have been a disaster.
Correct.
Like that year off allowed me to reset, get reinvigorated, and be like, this is absolutely what I want to do. I've had a good time this year, but like I'm done. I'm ready to focus in.
Yep. 100. I was the same way. So when I graduated high school, initially my plan was to go to the University of Maryland. I had actually already paid my dorm deposit and everything. And then I took a trip down to Texas to visit my grandparents, who my grandparents kind of raised me. I mean, my mom was in the picture, but my grandparents raised me because she was working like 3 jobs. So I have a really, really close relationship with them.
Sure.
So I came down to visit them the summer before I was supposed to start at the University of Maryland, and sitting on their back deck, I just had that epiphany, like, nope, this is where I'm supposed to be. But, obviously the admissions calendar already closed, sign up for. So I moved
it's kind of hard
down,
to get into.
100% with a 3-week notice. So I moved down and I took a year off. And the benefit of that was I was able to build up in-state residency so I could pay in-state tuition, but that year off, to your point, really, really helped reset. So much so that I did the same thing before law school. Was I graduated from A&M. At that point, I was working for FedEx. And so I transferred up to the DFW area because I knew I wanted to go to, back then it was Texas Wesleyan. And I got a job working at the airport for FedEx for a year and just saved money, kind of, again, reset, just got all that out of my system to really, focus on the fact that, is this really what I want to do? And it made a huge difference because, there's no way I would have been able to go straight through. It would have been a disaster.
Yeah. And I remember, getting that delayed acceptance into Baylor. That's when I was a summer starter. I didn't get in for the fall, but they gave me a spot in the summer. And I was pretty upset. I was like, oh my gosh, because I wanted to go through school, start my career. But what it did is it really gave me a lot of perspective. Like, I've been practicing law over 20 years now, and that 1 year made absolutely zero difference in terms of my career, right?
Yep.
And so having that year allowed me to do significantly better in law school, which was a better launching point for me in my career, quite frankly. And now when you look at it, I mean, a year is so short.
Yeah.
It's so short.
Yeah.
When you're planning out for trials, when you're planning out, we have a trial in November. Right now, as we sit here, it's September 18th, and that trial is right around the corner. Like we are hardcore getting ready for that trial right now.
Yep.
And then I'm looking at trials in Q1 of next year and Q2 of next year. And we have to plan our vacations out early as lawyers so that we can get our vacation notices into the court so people don't set stuff while we're gone. And all of a sudden, you're starting to plan towards the end of 2026.
It comes so fast.
Yeah, and it's not even 2026 at all yet.
No, there's a fantastic quote that people say a lot in relation to parenting, and it's absolutely true, but it's also true in the career, which is, the days are long, but the years are short. And it rings more and more true every single year. And it's like that, where you find yourself planning for 2027, and that's not that unrealistic of a thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
Where if you'd have told me that going into my undergrad year, I can't tell you what I'm doing next week. Like that's ridiculous. So
is the test this week? No, then I don't have to study.
Oh, well then I'm fine. Just let me know the day before,
Right. Exactly.
But it's a big shift. So I'm with you. I think that year off on both ends really, really helped. It really set your mind right for focusing up on what you want to do.
So at what point did you decide, hey, I want to go be a lawyer?
So I was taking a philosophy class. And back then, so I went into psychology because that was really where my passion was. I wanted to be a clinician, a counselor. I wanted to work with a group of people that I felt were in desperate need of good people to help them, right? And so that was what I was working towards. That was the goal. And then I was taking this philosophy class, and we were studying kind of the ancient Greek philosophers and their thoughts on truth, their thoughts on ethics, virtue, and how that built the core of what our justice system is based on. And it was something about sitting in that class and reading that, all of those old essays, listening to the lectures about it, that just kind of sparked something in me. And it was a different level of passion that I hadn't felt before, that I knew right then that's what I want to do. I was raised around the criminal justice system. So both of my parents worked for, and my dad still works for, law enforcement. So my mom worked for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. When she finally retired, she was an associate warden at a maximum security men's penitentiary.
Oh, wow.
So obviously I heard stories. And she was, side note, she was trained in both hostage negotiation and criminal interrogation. So I did not get away with much. My stepdad was a guard at the prison for a long time. Now he's a federal air marshal. So I was raised around the kind of criminal justice, environment. But I always found myself kind of taking the opposite approach, playing that devil's advocate.
You're a contrarian.
Yeah, 100%. Where you're just like, well, what's that guy's story though? So sitting in that philosophy class and listening to kind of what our justice system was based on really drove something in me that I'm like, that's what I want to do. And so I'm unique, or at least I think I'm unique, in that I went to law school with a very clear idea of what type of law I wanted to practice. I had no interest in doing civil law. I had no interest in doing anything other than what I'm doing right now. That's what I went to law school to do.
Yeah, I think that is, especially on the criminal law side, right? Unless your parent was a criminal lawyer or something like that. I knew of people that wanted to be prosecutors.
Yep.
But criminal defense, I don't know that I had anybody in my class or that I knew really in law school that was their chosen path. For me, I always knew I wanted to be a plaintiff's personal injury lawyer.
Sure.
I had an internship with an amazing guy and just fell in love with that and decided, hey, that really spoke to me. It had the medicine part that I really liked. It had the courtroom part that I thought I was going to really enjoy. I wanted to be sitting behind a desk all day, every day. That was the main thing.
Be in the trenches. Yeah. I'm the exact same way. I wanted to be dirty hands actually doing the work, and you're right. The typical career path for a defense lawyer is you get out of law school, you work for a DA's office, you prosecute a whole bunch of cases, rack up a bunch of trial experience, and then transition to the defense side. I knew I had no interest in doing that. I've never prosecuted a case. I have no desire to ever prosecute a case. I'd be the worst prosecutor in the world. But it was really, a very focused drive of that's what I want to do. And so that's how I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? But that was the path.
So as you either were looking at internships or after graduating from law school, I mean, most people don't graduate law school and go hang a shingle and become a defense attorney with zero experience, right? I'm sure you can find clientele, the ones who can't afford anybody else.
Yep.
But how did you go get that defense attorney experience?
So I had to put a lot of thought into that too, because I knew kind of taking a unique route, it was going to be difficult. I couldn't just go out and start, my own spot. And so I knew, kind of because of talking to people, that a lot of it was about networking, knowing people, and getting out and meeting people that could then give you a boost. And so I've spent a lot of my time in law school doing that. For that reason, I specifically looked for internships and clerkships that were not criminal law. So I interned with a family lawyer for a little bit. And then most of my 3L year, I worked for a plaintiff's firm in downtown Dallas that did car wrecks, wrongful death. And they actually offered me my first job right out of law school. But the reason I did that was kind of twofold. One, it was, let's really make sure that I don't find some other type of law that, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But two, it's because I knew that because of the competitive nature that the legal field can sometimes be, if I really want that leg up, I'm going to want somebody in a different profession to then say, hey, here is, I've got this criminal lawyer that you need to know. Because as you might imagine, it's pretty rare for a criminal lawyer to refer a criminal case to another criminal lawyer, right? It just it doesn't make a lot of business sense.
Right.
And so I knew I needed to kind of network that. And so in doing that and working for that plaintiff's firm, I stayed in contact with people that I graduated law school with. And one of them knew James, who's my law partner now, had heard through the grapevine that James might be looking to hire an associate and just set up a meeting. And so it was really just because I knew Kristen, who knew James, who knew that I was looking for possibly moving into the criminal, that's how it worked. And so it was really just the universe saying, yeah, you're correct. It's not necessarily what you know or what your name is or anything like that. It's knowing the right people and being ready to seize the right opportunity when it presents itself. And so that's what it was all about.
And so at what point did it kind of click for you of the whole networking side of things, right? Because I will tell you, I'll be the first to admit, building the network was something that I did not focus nearly enough attention on until later on in my career.
It was relatively quickly. And there's kind of two parts in it. So it was relatively quickly because that's something that my law partner, James, who I shadowed for like 6 months before I ever took I want him to show me, how do you practice, right? How do you do what you do? But I noticed that in shadowing him for 6 months, 75% of what we were doing was some form of networking, whether it was going to the Chamber of Commerce and meeting people, or it was sticking around in the courthouse after you're done and just seeing who else is in the building to go say hi to, or going and visiting a judge in chambers just because, hey, we're in the building. Let's go see if Judge so-and-so's here. And in walking around with him and realizing, okay, that's 75% of what we're doing, there must be a reason behind that. And so then as I got more and more involved in the nuances of running the law firm with him, right? You realize how important that is.
Yeah.
And I said there's two parts to the answer, because the first part is that's how I learned how important it was. The second part is I'm still not great at it. It is something that I struggle with all the time because, again, going back to why I became a lawyer because I wanted to do law. I want to be in the courtroom. I want to argue cases. I don't want a business network. But it was really focusing on and forcing my mind to be convinced that, well, you have to do one or else you can't do the other. It's a necessary thing. And so making the effort to do it is something that I still have to train myself to do.
Yeah. And to your point, you owe it to, criminal defendants out there to make sure they know who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you truly believe you're really good at what you do, then you're not doing them any favors if they can't find you, if they don't know who you are, if there's nobody to refer them to you. And so I think once you get that mindset of, look, I'm not going to be able to do this thing that I really love doing unless I have people paying me to do it.
Right.
Then you get your butt out there and you find people to pay you to do it.
Yep. It's a great point. And that was one of I had a sales training very early on in my career.
As a lawyer?
As a lawyer, because again, to James's credit, he really he realizes that sales is a huge part of what we really do. We're selling ourselves. We're selling our services, right? And I always had this conundrum of, I don't want to be a salesman. It sounds slimy. I hate it, right?
Yeah.
But it was somebody that came in to do that sales training that really framed it like that for me. It's like, look, if you think you're the best criminal defense lawyer in the area, right? And there's somebody out there that desperately needs your help, how in the world would they know to hire you if you're not out there selling yourself? It's not about, lying. It's not about puffing yourself out or making yourself feel bigger. It's about telling people, hey, look, I have this service that I'd love to provide to you. Here I am. Here's how to come hire me. Having it framed that way really, really helped me get over that hurdle, because I just had this visceral reaction to sales. Gross. Like, I'm not in sales. I don't want to be in sales. That's nasty. But that really, really helped framing it that way.
Well, and two, I think, the whole ethics of marketing is framed in that way as like the marketing lawyer's the scoundrel, right? And now, are there marketers out there that people roll their eyes at? And,
oh, yeah.
Turn on your TV.
100%.
Most lawyer commercials you're going to see are probably from my practice area, and they're going to be somewhat ridiculous. And then, a lot of the stuff you see on digital ads is less than stellar, but that's not all that marketing encompasses. Right. Now, get yourself out there as many ways as you need to and as you can to make people aware. But I think your brand that you establish says so much about you and the value that you provide. Right. So as you and James kind of look at your marketing, what speaks to you about, like, what's your brand?
Sure. So the thing that we really base the majority of our branding or our marketing on is the idea that we provide the same level of service as some of these high dollar, super high end downtown firms. But there's 7 people in our office. We're in a 1-story building in Frisco. So you're not paying all this overhead. And it's because it's an intimate environment. We only take the cases that we truly care about. If we think we can help you, we will absolutely let you hire us. We pride ourselves in, if somebody comes in the door and says, hey, I have this issue, and it's not an issue that we can help with, we are absolutely not going to charge you any money. We're never going to do that. We will send you to somebody who is going to be a better fit for whatever reason, whether it's not our area of specialty or it's something we don't handle a lot of. We will find you a better fit than us because we only want to take the cases that we can provide excellent service for. And so we've built our brand and our reputation on, that trust of, if you hire us to represent you and we tell you something, you can believe it, because we're not the type of lawyer that's going to blow smoke. We're going to tell you what the truth is, good, bad, and ugly. And so that's been a big kind of that open and transparency. That's been a big thing of what we always wanted to build the brand on, is that confidence and that high level of expertise without having to go to a downtown Dallas high rise.
Sure. Coming out of law school and wanting to be a criminal defense attorney, you got your wish, criminal defense attorney. And then as a lot of really good attorneys do, they find themselves in the position of, oh, now I have to have some business acumen too. You, like me, did not get a business degree. I never stepped foot inside the business building at Baylor. Did you ever have a business class?
Absolutely not. I think I took macroeconomics my freshman year because I had to. That was about the extent of my business knowledge.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, I really dislike this.
I hate everything about this, man. That's why I was a liberal arts major. Like, get me out of this stuff.
Yeah. So being kind of thrust into that role of business owner, or, leading up to business owner, how did you embrace that, if you did, and how did you start learning it?
It's almost like, so if you remember studying for the bar, right? You kind of,
I've blocked that out.
It's just a mental fog. I purposefully picked subjects that I know I'm going to hate, and those were the ones that I spent the majority of my time studying. Because I knew the stuff I like, I'm going to pick up relatively quickly. Like, if I like it, that means I probably understand it pretty well. If I understand it pretty well, I'll learn it pretty fast. So I don't really have to focus a lot of my time. So I purposefully picked, oil and gas and property rights. I'm going to spend a majority of my time focusing on those things because I hate them. I don't understand them. And so when I started my career, it was almost like the same thing, where I mentally had to set myself like a schedule on any given day or any given week, knowing I need to spend this much time on business development, because it's not what I really want to do. It's not what I'm the best at. So it's not going to come naturally, and it's not going to come easy. So I have to really focus on putting in the effort. And to this day, I still do. So every morning I wake up, I usually go on a morning run. I come into the office, I sit down, and I have my kind of daily journal in front of me, and I block out my day, and I look at it, and I do it kind of graphically so I can see it. I make sure I've got at least 60 to 70% of that day is some form of business development, whether it's networking, going to lunch, whether it's something like this, or just reading articles or listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks on something that's going to better that understanding, right? So that's I have to do that every single day, or else I'll never get it done.
It's interesting you say that you block out your time like that. I do too. I have I forget what my journals call it, maybe best self.
Okay.
And so it has,
I love it.
Your times on the left, and so I can kind of time block there. But on the right, it's just this kind of blank page for notes. And so I do the buy back your time quadrants. Right?
Okay.
Have you ever read the book Buy Back Your Time?
I haven't. No, that's new.
James Martell, I think, is who wrote it. And so in the quadrants, I look at it and I say, okay, what are previously, I've previously kind of figured out, like, here's the things I do that drive the most value to the firm, right? And so those three things go in three of the different quadrants, and then there's a quadrant for other. And so throughout the day, I'm like tracking what I'm working on or planning out, hey, I've got to get these things. I've got to hit these three things. And it's funny because when I find myself really worn down from the week, when I find myself just like kind of hitting the wall, I'll go back and look at that journal, and the other quadrant is really filled up. Really filled up. Because I'm working on things that I'm not that great at, or I'm putting out fires, or I'm doing things that are just not driving the value. And I'm not being fulfilled. I'm not being fulfilled. So how do you balance having to do those things that you don't love doing with also kind of staying fulfilled, staying energized, and staying passionate about those things you do love?
Yeah, it really comes down to that plan. You know, I'm a big proponent of to-do lists, checklists, right? Because I think there's a psychological boost from seeing a list of things being done, you know, at the end of the day.
And so dopamine hits, man.
I mean, it's so great, right? And I like to gamify everything. I'm a video game guy. I'm a big gamer. But so I will always set up usually my daily to-do list. I will put a max number. Like, I'm not going to go over 10 items on any to-do list, because if it gets too overwhelming, then it's just, my brain will shut down. But if I do 10 items on a to-do list, I will make sure that at least 3 of them are easy wins. You know, make your bed, right? Or go for a jog or run or get a workout in, something like that. 6 glasses of water. Something that has nothing to do with work, has nothing to do with a task necessarily that has to get done, but it's something that you can do that's an easy thing for you just to do, and then you can check it off the box. And so on
Admiral McCraven there.
Right.
First, make your bed.
That's that. And like I said, you stack up those little wins. Yeah, I work with a lot of addicts, as you might understand. You know, that's not a shock. And I talk with them a lot about the psychological benefit of small wins, right? Every single day, if you can stack these like little small wins on top of each other, it makes a huge difference, right? Making your bed, easy one. Brushing your teeth, that's a win, man. You've got 2 already, and it's not even 8:30 in the morning. And so by doing that on these days where I'm just feeling just drained, I can take a look and see I've already gotten a bulk of my stuff done. I can power through this last couple, right? Or I flip through the journal for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, look at all this stuff I've done. And that helps kind of refocus on the consistency is the most important thing. Just sticking with it and doing it every single day. Showing up every single day and doing the little things gets you eventually to where you want to go. And so when I really refocus my brain on that, it helps. It helps kind of get over that hump or that hurdle.
Yeah. And I think so long as you're putting the right tasks on that list, right? Because that's huge. You don't want to just be putting tasks on there that, the little things, but I got to get them done. So you never hit the big stuff.
No. Like I said, it's I try to set limits. Like if I'm going to have 10 items on that list, only 3 of them can be gimmies, but you have some gimmies on there. So like I said, you get that dopamine hit of, all right, man, I'm getting stuff done today. I'm
rolling,
being productive, you know?
All right. So, super busy practice, super busy outside of practice. How do you turn the work part off? This is something that, I think a lot of lawyers struggle with. A lot of professionals and just people in general have a really hard time shutting off work, transitioning to family or whatever it is, whatever else it is that you're doing to stay present.
Super important to do. I think that, and this is it's easier to say than it is to do, but I think a big one is, the phone, right? Taking that phone. When I come home, my phone will typically go on its charger and it sits there for at least an hour or 2 while I take care of whatever has to be done around the house. I'm the cook of the family, so I typically make all the dinners and stuff like that, which I don't necessarily see as a chore. I enjoy doing it because you can't really cook while you're responding to emails, right? Or while you're answering texts.
Not cook well.
No, you can't certainly. So it forces you to kind of break away from that, environment. And by being the one that cooks dinner, my kids are hungry. My daughter plays soccer. My son plays baseball. My wife's a teacher, so she's coming. Everybody's hungry when they get home.
Right.
And so as soon as I get home from work, I'm cooking dinner. And so the benefit of it happening immediately at the end of the workday is it's almost like a forced pause.
Yeah, hard stop.
Hard stop. I can't do anything with work because I've got to get these 3 heathens fed, right? And so
I'm sure you meant to exclude your wife from that.
Yeah, no, it's really just the 2. Yeah. Then my angel wife who puts up with me. Absolutely. But having done that for a while, it becomes really obvious that, man, the world did not collapse. Like the business did not fall apart by taking 2 hours to just cook dinner, sit at the table, eat dinner, say, hey, how was everybody's day? Tell me something that happened, something good, something bad, and have that conversation. And just like any other habit, once you've done it for a while and you realize this is totally sustainable, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. And so then I really put hard boundaries both to clients and to, like, my work knows when I get off or when I'm at home, I'm probably not going to respond to you. And unless it's an absolute emergency, you're going to have to be okay with that, because that's just, it is what it is. It's what I need to do. And so it forcing yourself to do it at first kind of sets up that habit. It creates that habit. And by creating that habit, you train your brain to realize this is not that big of a deal. You just need to do it.
Yeah. I love the tell me something good, tell me something bad. At our house, it's called high lows.
Yeah.
And so for every 3 highs, you can list 1 low.
Yep.
And so it just kind of, helps people find the good parts of the day.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And if you start repeating the same thing, like, oh, we're having a great dinner. Like, nah, that doesn't cut it. Come up with another one.
Yep. Yep. I'm the exact same way, man. I am a huge proponent of the power of positive thinking, right? Just setting your mind in the right place. Like every morning, so I take my kids to school every morning. I drop my son off first because he's in elementary school, and I drop my daughter off at middle school. And literally since they were in pre-K, every single morning when we pull up to their school, they have to repeat their daily mantra to me, which is, my name is Avery. I am smart. I am strong. I am kind. I am brave. And I'm going to have a great day. And I make them say it to me every morning. But more importantly, I'm like, you need to believe it. Like, tell me, I need to feel it. Right. And so they say it every morning because I think there's such power in telling your brain, setting your brain in the right place. Right. And making it believe I am going to have a great day. I am worthy. I'm smart, all that stuff. I think that's super important. So the same thing, like with dinner, we're not going to focus on the lows. It's not a vent session. I want to hear about those things. I absolutely want. But tell me something great that happened. Like what happened that was awesome? What was super fun today? What's something that's really cool that you remember about the day? Because I think that's important.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to get into this too. You mentioned earlier you're a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tell us about and I think it's coming up, you said, your work with Miracle League. Or not Miracle League.
Extra Life. Extra Life, yeah.
Yes,
so
Extra Life.
Extra Life is an incredible organization. I've been working with them for 13 years. They fundraise for Children's Miracle Network.
Miracle Network is what I was trying to say.
So Children's Miracle Network, for those that don't know, is a nationwide network of hospitals that specialize and treat kids that are suffering from chronic, sometimes terminal, really serious things, cancer, leukemia, those sorts of things. And they treat these kids with kind of the highest level of care, regardless of if the family can pay or not. So they don't even, they don't care about insurance. They just, you come in, you're going to get the best treatment possible. And then obviously they have, the research programs and stuff. They're constantly looking for cures. And my experience with Children's Miracle Network goes back a long way. When I was in college, one of my very best friends, who I had known since I was a kid, was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma cancer. It's a bone marrow cancer. And so he was undergoing all of his treatment while we lived in a house. We call it the frat house. It was 5 of us guys just living, going to A&M. It was kind of crazy, but it was fun. But he lived with us throughout his entire treatment. And we would spend most of the time playing Halo back in the day on the original Xbox. And when he had his stints in the hospital, we would drag a big TV up to his room because that was kind of our escape, was just to feel normal for a minute, right? But he got treated by Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and just the level of care he got was incredible. And what Extra Life does is they fundraise for Children's Miracle Life through video games, which was kind of a marriage made in heaven. Because again, their whole philosophy is let's celebrate the thing that brings us together, something that brings us together and that brings us joy in what is otherwise just a horrific, dark time, you know? And so every year, we do our marathon, which is a 24-hour marathon where I sit down, I play games for 24 hours with anybody that wants to show up and play with me, anyone who wants to jump online. But more importantly, I raise money for the Children's Miracle Network Hospital, specifically my local one, which is the Children's Dallas. Because I mean, it's something that is a way for me to do something I love while raising money for a cause that's just awesome. And so I've done it for 13 years. It's November 8th again, so I'm actively raising money. So feel free to donate if you're so inclined. But
And how would they find you?
So the easiest way is to go to my Twitch channel. So Twitch is a live streaming service where I usually live stream. I will be live streaming the marathon. So it's twitch.tv/thegamerlawyer, which should be fairly easy to remember. My donate link's right there. You can watch me play games very poorly. I don't claim to be very good at what I do. But it's just a fun way to hang out and just, again, kind of celebrate something that, especially in today's world, there's enough crap out there. There's enough dark stuff out there that let's take a minute and let's just have fun. Like, remember that life is supposed to be fun, and let's just enjoy it, So that's what it's all about. So that's the easiest way to find it.
Connections and feeling that joy. I love it, man.
And I've had clients hire me through the Twitch. Like, they've seen my stream and they've called, hey, I saw that you were streaming this. I have a question. A friend really needs help. Happy to help them. So, I mean, it's just another way.
And you said you hated doing biz dev.
I know, but I found something that makes sense, man. So yeah, it's been super fun. And it's, again, the cause itself is something that means a whole lot to me. My wife's goddaughter, she had leukemia. She made it through. She was treated by Children's Dallas through Children's Miracle Network. So, I mean, it's a really, really cool cause that supports some really, really awesome people.
That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic. All right. We're running out of time. So I got one last question for you.
Sure.
Give me your top 3 books that you've read, that you've recommended, that you gift.
Okay, so the one that's always on the list is The 4 Agreements.
Yep.
The 4 Agreements is a fantastic book. Really, talking about kind of philosophy, talking about, how to set that positive mindset. That's a great one. The other one, and I'm going to blank on the author because it's been a while since it's called The Power to Being Disliked. It's a Japanese author, I believe. And that was something, kind of back to, I was talking about sales and my aversion to sales, right? Part of it was I did not like when people would say, no thanks, or I would have to give, hard, look, this is what it is. This is what it costs because this is how difficult a case it is. That book really helped kind of spin that into, look, it's okay that some people out there don't think you're the best person in the world. That's okay, because you have to be true to you and don't bend who you are to please, because it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's another fantastic one. And then just to go completely the other direction, this one's more of a series, but it's anything by Brandon Sanderson. He's got a whole universe of books called The Cosmere.
Okay.
This is more, when you need just a pure mental break. So this is all fiction, right? It's all fantasy stuff, but his novels and that kind of universe is something that I find myself escaping to over and over and over again. I mean, there's like 17 books in there. And so you can spend forever, going down that rabbit hole, but they're great. And again, just finding things like we talked about to kind of reset and to, get away from the heaviness that our real world can be sometimes is super important.
Awesome. Ryne, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Driven Crowd podcast. We'll talk to you next time.